Today on the Booktube Newbie tag, I'll be interviewing Joanne, the devoted bookworm. You may know her from "My book gave me permission to eat cake with my bare hands," or "All the books sounded so good I had to check them out." Welcome, Joanne. It's good to have you on the show. Thank you, Joanne. It's a pleasure to be here. To start off with, why don't you tell us why you decided to start a Booktube channel?
Sure.
I've always loved reading, and I thought that Booktube seemed like a fun way to share that with other people. And when I started thinking about Booktube, I started getting all of these ideas, and here's hoping that I'm able to make my videos turn out the way I envision them.
Why don't you share some of those ideas with us so we know what to look forward to on your channel?
As you can see from my cake video, I plan to take different recipes, activities, outfits, really anything that sounds interesting in a book that I'm reading, and try it out in my real life. I already have a couple of videos planned, but I don't want to spoil too much, so make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss any of those.
I loved watching your other videos, so I'm excited to see what you'll post next. What are you the most excited about now that you're a part of Booktube?
I'm excited to learn new things, to read new kinds of books, to enhance my video editing skills. I'm excited to create and participate in some reading challenges, and I'm excited to make some new friends. Hi friends! You've mentioned several times that you love reading. What do you love so much about reading? I love that when I'm immersed in a story, I can leave all my worries behind and stop thinking about them for a little while. I can kind of block out the world around me. Like, quite literally, I'm pretty good at blocking out the sounds around me. My husband teases me about it. He'll come in and start talking to me, and I don't realize that he's talking to me until like the last 4 words of his sentence, and then...
I was thinking about taking the roof off the house. What do you think?
What? You talking to me?
Whoops.
So was there a particular book or series that got you into reading?
Nope.
Okay, would you like to elaborate?
I mean, there's not a specific book that got me into reading, because I don't remember ever not loving to read. I've always loved to read. But I do remember enjoying Danny and the Dinosaur and Are You My Mother? And I really enjoyed reading Stone Words by Pam Conrad.
I also remember reading those books as a child. What would you ask the seasoned booktubers if you had a chance?
I guess I would ask them what they wish they had known when they first started Booktube. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but I think it could be really helpful. So if you have any words of wisdom or advice for me, please leave it in the comments. There are many tricks and challenges to having a Booktube channel. What do you think your biggest challenge is? Right now, the hardest challenge is how much time everything takes. I always think it's gonna take a certain amount of time, not always a little amount of time, but then it'll take twice as long or 3 times as long. I think it's always gonna be the hardest challenge for me.
When did you start reading?
Probably kindergarten or 1st grade. I remember when I was younger doing a test with my teacher at the beginning of the school year, and she had me read this word, and I said, "Ani." And she corrected me and said, no, that's actually the word one. We moved on, it was no big deal. I was just learning to read. But then, a little while later, we were having a lesson in class, and she pointed to this word and said, one of the students in this class thought that this word was pronounced Ani. What? Why are you telling this to the whole class? Everybody laughed. I mean, nobody found out who it was, but I mean, obviously it left an impact or made an impact on me. Luckily, I put that behind me, obviously. I learned to read, and I love to read, and I've passed that love of reading on to my children. They will sit at the breakfast table while they're eating lunch. They're reading the whole time. At dinner, I do make them put their books away so that we can all sit together and eat together. Even my 2-year-old, she'll have me read her the same book over and over again. And then after I read it, then she has her turn. She says, it's my turn to read it. And then she reads it either to herself, or she'll read it to me, or she reads it to her teddy bear. It is so sweet.
Adorable. So, where do you usually read?
I mean, I read in the waiting room of the doctor's office, and if I need to wait for my kids to pick them up or something like that. Sometimes I read in my bed. I mean, really, I'll read whenever and wherever I get the chance. The most regular reading that I get done is while I'm eating my breakfast or having my lunch. I'll read while I'm eating. I wonder where the kids learn that from. It's the easiest time for me to get some consistent reading in because it's a time that I'm able to sit down and slow down for a little while and have a chance to read. And what kind of books do you read in that variety of places? I've always liked a good dystopian book like Delirium or Divergent, 1984, The Giver. I tend to read more YA books. Yep, I'm one of those. Because I prefer my books to be PG or PG-13, and YA books seem to be a little safer that way in general. Really, I like reading whatever sounds interesting. I'm trying to go outside my comfort zone. I've been trying mysteries and some nonfiction stuff, and recently I actually read 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and I was nervous about it at first because that's not really the type of book that I tend to read, but I'm really glad that I did because I found it really interesting. I've heard good things about that book. Well, thank you for joining us today, Joanne. I'm sure you will do great things with your channel, and I look forward to your next video. Thanks. Back to you, Rod. Make sure that you're subscribed. Fly. Here's, I can't cross my fingers. I plan to finish my sentence, and then the cat meows.